Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. I think it is the only QuickBooks podcast there is in the UK, and that kind of makes us the best, so we'll go with that one. My name is Aaron Patrick, and I'm here today with co-host galore. We have Johann and Charlie Khan. Charlie, do you want to go first? Do you want to give a bit of a say hello to everyone and where they can find you and all that sort of stuff?
Hello, everyone. I am Charlie Khan. I'm an accountant in West London, long-time QuickBooks user, and I run a group on Facebook called QBOA User Group for Pro Advisors. Find us on there, and this is streaming. We're streaming live on that Facebook group right now.
Technology at its finest.
No, it's amazing.
And then we have the newly crowned the client engager chaps, which may or may not come to a legal dispute sometime down the line, but we'll go with it for now. Johann, do you want to tell everyone how they can find you, where they can find you, etc., etc.? Go for it.
Yeah, hi, Johann Gorey. I'm the managing director for the On Point Accounting Group. I also sit on the team for the Client Engager practice management tool, QuickBooks Strategic Partner, and I am co-host with Aaron on Ask the Accountant every Monday. So, yeah, busy.
Very busy. We do say this, don't we? Maybe sometimes we should ask what you don't do. It might be
it would be easier.
Okay, we've got a cracker in store for you this wonderful afternoon. We do aim to go live 4:30 each and every start of the month. We try and go for the first Wednesday of each and every month. And the idea then is that we go live and you guys can be involved as well. So if you do have any questions on any of our platforms, stick them in the comments section and we'll talk about them during the show. Let's go straight into some of the topics for today. First of all, there's been two major logo changes in the past month. One of them was a six-figure, I imagine, number that got them to get to that new logo, where the other one maybe £6 maybe was spent on getting the logo up and running. We'll let you decide which is which on that one. But as you can see down that way, isn't it? Down there is the new QuickBooks Labs logo, which looks very, very nice. Well done.
Very snazzy.
But Intuit themselves has decided to bring in a whole new logo. Now, I was going to do a whole, can you guess which is the new one, which isn't, but we'll just go straight into it and just show you what it looks like. So if I just quickly share the screen and get rid of this one.
Always prepared.
Put this one on there. I know it's really small, but this is this is as big as I could get it. So there is the brand new Intuit QuickBooks logo. So what's your thoughts? What do you feel like's changed there? Charlie, do you want to go first? What do you think's the big change we should all be noticing?
I can't remember the old one. Was it very different?
It's substantially different, Charlie. Substantially.
I noticed it immediately. Yeah. clearly my eye is not keenly attuned to the shape and whatever of the logo. The QB bit's not so different. It's the Intuit. No. It's the text that's different.
It's the text. Yeah. Can you see the subtle difference?
Intuit capital letter. They've dropped. Didn't they used to have a little dot on the eye to denote some meaningful thing?
Yeah. So the eye went, I want to say 6 months ago, no, a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was. That went.
Okay.
Johann, do you want to say what the big difference is? Difference?
It's the curvature of the U and the N, isn't it?
No. Well, it might be actually. Is it?
I think that's a different curvature.
Where's the old one? Have you got a copy of the old one?
Can I just point out the money and time they spent on this? If they spent it on, I don't know, like Pro Tax, we might have had placeholders working.
Ouch. Ouch. Enough about that, the better. No, but the old one still had the same curvature. That's been the same for a while. No, the big difference is the Intuit is now more prominent. So they've tried to make it, well, they put it the same size, haven't they? So instead of being 50% smaller, 25%, 30% is what it is there. Now it's the same size. And that is done on purpose. So the idea would be to try and bring the Intuit brand into the branding and make people more aware of the fact that it's Intuit QuickBooks, not just QuickBooks, as they start pushing MailChimp and all the other elements to it as well. So it makes sense. Yeah.
So, okay, I don't feel so embarrassed I didn't spot the difference now.
Graphic designers are the biggest con, aren't they? I mean, I always remember when Next changed their logo, and it cost them millions of pounds. And all the graphics designer had done is gone from capital letters to lowercase letters. That was it. But they spent millions of pounds on it. I mean, so am I right in thinking now that all the hoodies that got printed last year for Intuit QuickBooks,
This is already
all
out
the water
of date.
bottles, all the branded gear that they've got sat in a warehouse, they now need to get rid of it at the next few conferences so they can actually bring out more.
So what we're saying is get to every conference you can, because there's going to be a load of swag to get involved in. Hold up, so yeah,
They're probably incinerated
about
it
to get a
all.
lorry delivered with a pallet of it.
yeah, exactly. We got Kirsty in the comment section. Hello, Kirsty. How are you doing? And Kirsty hadn't even noticed. In fairness, I think the logo went live like 2 weeks ago, something like that. So yeah, we are now in a new dawn of a new day. Both QuickBooks Labs and Intuit QuickBooks have a new logo. So yeah. Let you guys decide which one costs which. Not sure we spent £6 either, so but never mind. If I'm honest. Going through on to the next topic then, but no, just to kind of bring it out, we should see that coming through. And I get it, right? Like Intuit needs to be more prominent in the UK. I don't think a lot of people really know what Intuit is. I think trying to push that is a good thing. MailChimp and everything else, it's going to need that brand awareness, isn't it, to make that more prevalent. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how that goes. Okay, a bit of a public service announcement next is the fact that the Intuit QuickBooks desktop has a ticking time bomb of what we are now 23 days left until it goes goodbye. This is kind of a worry, really, I think, because I don't think enough people are talking about it. And I keep getting messages and calls from PNCs and stuff, not aware at all that this is happening. But basically, on the 30th of June, should I say, QuickBooks Desktop will be no more in its current state. There is a whole argument going on between if you've got perpetuity license versus your standard ongoing license, and there's a whole raft of issues around that. But ultimately, if you're using QuickBooks Desktop, then really you need to find another solution. You need to find a way to migrate that data ASAP, because from what we know from the 30th of June, you definitely won't be able to use the software, or at least have support for the software going forward, which you kind of need, especially with the kind of stuff that you'll be doing in QB Desktop. And what you'll also have to worry about, or think about and consider, is the fact that there is some bit saying that you won't even have access to that data. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that. We don't know until the 30th of June comes along. I would be surprised if that's the case. I'd expect to have some sort of read-only access going forward. At least we hope that's the case. But there are people, I don't know if it's scaremongering or what, but there are people saying that no, they've been told that you'll just lose access completely from the 30th of June. So quite worrying. Personal plug on this one. We are going live tomorrow morning. And during that tomorrow morning with the wonderful Roz, we're going to be talking all about QuickBooks Desktop, what to do, how to migrate, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it might be best just to pull into that one. But thoughts, so people, is this, from what we, as another plug as well on Accounting Web, I was asked to come along and talk with Tom and also with Ryan as well. So it's a great little group to kind of go in and talk about it. And what surprised me the most was that there was a few people who kind of turned around and went, "Oh, I thought the desktop had already gone." So kind of sums it up, doesn't it, of what the vast majority probably think. But anyone, is there any kind of thoughts about that? Is it, are we surprised that it's going completely, or?
I'm going to jump in to QuickBooks' defense here and point out it's not like they didn't warn us a long time ago.
Because originally it was 31st of January, right?
Yeah. And that announcement came out when?
Yeah, 2 years or so ago, wasn't it?
Right.
Something like that.
So Xero went down for a couple of hours this morning on VAT filing deadline. Yes, Xero's had some stick for that, but actually the majority of accountants are out there saying, well, why are you leaving it to the last minute to file? Like, there's always going to be clients that are a bit last minute, but like accountants have been warned for 2 years that this is happening for QuickBooks Desktop. If you've got an accountant and they've not moved you at this point in time, my sympathy is lacking, if I'm honest. Like, you've had 2 years to sort this out. But again, we just seem to leave things to the last minute, and that's not good advisory work. That's not being a trusted advisor, or whatever you want to call it. You've had 2 years. Deal with it. Move. Like, there's so many products out there. Whether you're going to go to a Sage Desktop, go onto Xero, go onto QuickBooks Advanced, whatever it is you're going to go to, you've had 2 years to look and do this. Panicking 23 days before the deadline, if anything, it probably shows that you're a bit of a reactive and not a proactive person.
Yeah, I mean,
it just irritates me when the industry sits there going, "Oh, we've only got so many days left," but it's not like they ever turn around and say it's happening tomorrow or next week.
True. I feel like the only thing is that from the ones I've been listening to, the accountants are just completely unaware, because they have 1 or 2 clients on QB Desktop. It's not a priority of theirs. It's just they were happy to just kind of just keep them going along and ticking over, and now they didn't know this was going to happen until the client turned around and says, "Oh, by the way," I even had one PNC call who was just wanting to know if QB Advanced was right for them, and had no idea that the 30th of June was their deadline to move over. So yeah, it's scary. All right, you, Charlie, have you used it at all in the past, or?
Oh, in the past, I used it all the time. I loved it years ago, but I haven't had a desktop client for many years now. I still have some old backup files from some old stuff, which would have been nice to have access to. So I broadly agree with what Johann said, but I'd add a couple of things. I would say, if they have the ability to actually prevent you using it, then presumably they have permanent access to it, in which case it should have been popping up every time you logged in for the last 6 months. This will stop working on 30th of June. And if that happened every time you logged in with a big message that you had to click to get rid of, not the little text at the top of the screen, but you had to click to get rid of it, then there'd be no excuse for people not knowing. That would be the first point I would make. And the second point I would make is, it does seem completely unnecessary for them to prevent users from keeping read-only access to their data file. They would have the ability, surely, if they don't have permanent access to the software that you've already installed, then they can't stop you using it. If they have got permanent access, instead of stopping you using it, all they've got to do is turn off the ability to create and edit, and give you permanent read-only access with a permanent warning that every time you open it, look, this could crash at any time, and we will offer 0 support after the 30th of June. So on your own head be it. But to actually say, we won't even let you read this stuff after that date, I just think it's pointless, because it's not like they're losing any licensing income, because nobody's going to be paying if that file is dead and no longer used, and they simply want a copy in case the revenue asks them a question in 4 years' time, or just because they're interested. They're not going to carry on paying for a license anyway. They'll just export it as spreadsheets or something. So it seems to me completely crazy, and just pissing off your customers by not allowing permanent read-only access, albeit with the proviso that it could completely crash, and that's not their fault.
But that's the problem, isn't it? If you agree to maintain that data in a readable fashion, that means you're agreeing, it costs money to store data, even to QuickBooks.
No, this is desktop. This is desktop files. So the users keep their own data on their own system.
Right. Just export it. Export it all as Excel and PDFs before the cutoff date. Then you've got read-only access in a folder.
Yeah. I suppose the scary.
It's not as searchable as it was, but I take your point. But it's
And you've got migration options as well, haven't you? Move my books and everything else. So
and I have seen mainly from Americans, but some Brits complaining. So the various complaints are, one, and this I don't have a huge sympathy for. One is that because QuickBooks Desktop could do a lot more with stock and inventory, as they call it in the States, and QBO doesn't, and you need to use third-party software, they're complaining about that. But I don't have sympathy for that. If you want modern stock control systems, there are plenty of very, very, very good solutions out there that integrate brilliantly with QBO. And yes, it'll cost you an extra 20 quid, 30 quid, 40 quid a month. Tough. You have to pay for stuff. If you want value from something, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you should get it for nothing. So I don't have sympathy with that argument.
I suppose just on that, the only thing that I do have sympathy for is there is a stock update coming, and it would have been nice if that stock update would have been here before it died, right?
In
If
advance,
they could have aligned it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
QuickBooks Online.
okay.
So if they could have aligned those, I think that would have been a better migration path, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that didn't happen. So, and what was your point, Charlie?
Oh, that was probably it.
All right. No, I think it's just people need to be aware now, don't they? Public service announcement, it's dying. We don't know how it's going to look, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, let's talk about some updates in QuickBooks Online though, because we've had some nice updates. I think some quite significant. Well, if you go by what was told at yesterday's QuickBooks Connect, more on that later. Sorry, Get Connected. One of these updates is a huge time saver. Something like 12 hours you could save or something, or there was some number that was popped around. But this is all to do with, if I just share my screen, the new experience for your bank when you connect your bank for the very first time. They did have a name for it. It's like Train QuickBooks or something along those lines. But ultimately, I've just gone into my banking area, as you can see in front of me. And instead of going straight to the banking area, I get the opportunity to review categories. Basically, what will happen is it will just walk you through, review a few expenses now to help QuickBooks learn how to categorize for you. When you're done, see a snapshot of how you spend money. So I'm going to press this review category button just here. And what's going to happen is it's going to look at the categories that I had there and just ask me some useful questions. So is your business VAT registered? First question. Yep, fair enough. So I can say yes or no. So I'm going to say,
doesn't it know that from the settings?
Maybe this is before you've turned that on. Maybe.
Okay.
This is supposed to be the first expert, but you're right. Yeah, they probably should know that. And this is a sample company, so that's already turned on. So no, it doesn't know that. Well, I'm going to say no for this one. And then from here, it's coming up with suppliers and what do you want to do with them. Now, the idea of this is it's supposed to learn over kind of everyone putting this information in and start putting those categories in. So you would never use uncategorized expense, but I would be able to choose. I don't know, let's put this to purchases for this one. And once I've told it that and pressed done, then the idea then is it's going to move over across, and then I get to say what restaurant's going to be. Now, the ones I've seen kind of do this is a sample company, by the way, so don't think too much about what is actually here, etc. But the ones I have seen, they've been given much more options than just uncategorized expense, which is obviously a bit pointless as it's kind of go along. But the idea would be that it's kind of learning off everyone, really, and kind of having the opportunity to learn these as they go along. And then once you've done them all, I think this is the last one it wants me to do. Then it looks for finding similar expenses, gives you this nice little graphic. I'm not 100% sure why we're having to spend a little bit longer here. Bear in mind, there's only 20 transactions on the sample company, but it's going through, it's finding the information that needs to be there, and it gives you this nice little graphic here, telling you there. And here's how your most common expenses is shaping up. It gives you a nice little graphic. You press next, then it's telling you that are these always purchases? Yes, and press next. And there is a skip here for you if you want to down the bottom, but I'm just going to go through all of them. And now it's updating categories for me. And ultimately, it's going to be creating a rule section for you that is going to start kind of putting these into place going forward. So it's obviously not designed typically for us, but the argument is that if we were to put this into our clients, and especially if we're doing doing the bookkeeping for them, then the idea would speed up process and everything else. And there was a 4-hour, 12-hour. There was a number that popped up of how long it will save. And you see these rules have now been put into place, all thanks to this. So, what are your thoughts on this whole idea? Johann, you want to go first?
Have we just found a way to animate how to make rules?
Pretty much. But rules are complicated.
Adding any value to me at all.
Not to you, but the people who don't understand rules.
The reason we don't necessarily promote rules to our clients is all it takes is the client to code one train fare to hotels or something stupid and to apply VAT on it. And all of a sudden I've got to go and unpick all of that.
Yeah.
True.
Like, there's a reason we don't necessarily promote rules to our clients, and we want to set them ourselves because we know we're going to set them right the first time, and we're not going to have to go and undo everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, not convinced. And that little graph, so you're showing me the profit and loss
of one item.
Yeah. Of all the wishes we have for QuickBooks, whoever prioritised that ought to be shot.
It does feel strange, doesn't it, sometimes, that some of these enhancements come along just out of nowhere, and it's not what we've kind of pushed for, but yeah, it's an enhancement nonetheless. Charlie, what's your thoughts on it so far?
Yeah, well, I'm never very excited by all these little graphic things that just slow everything down, and while you sit there watching spinning wheels when it really should take a millisecond to process. I suspect it's more about pretending that it's doing something complicated in the background than actually taking time to do anything. So I always find that a bit of a nonsense. What I don't get though is that, well, first of all, that would apply more if you've got if you're doing cash basis accounting, because certainly for me and my clients, most of the time, even if they've paid for something within a day or two of the invoice being sent to them, I will typically process the bill and then match it up to a bank payment separately. And the second point that really frustrates me is they have got a default expense category now. They've had a year or more in each supplier, free set a default expense category. What I would like to see is have that linked up with their receipts capture, bill capture thing, so that when it sees a bill from ABC Suppliers Limited, it looks up and says, oh, that supplier already exists in QuickBooks, and the default category is IT services or whatever it is, and codes it for you and allows you to enter it as a bill, not in default to receipt. Because that, to me, would then kind of get rid of the need for expensive services like Dex and auto entry and all the rest of it, because their receipt capture thing could become a very, very good bill capture service. And it seems to me that they've got all the hard stuff they've already done. And all they need to do is just spend, a day of a program at a time, just linking up the bits that they've already got, and allow you to choose default bill, look up the supplier. Once you've OCR the supplier, look up the default code and code it to that one, and you've got a very, very good replacement. Look, sure, Dex and auto entry have got some additional features, but 90% of the stuff already in QuickBooks. They just need to tie them together, and I do not, for the life of me, understand why they don't.
I think we've spoke about this a lot, haven't we? It's one of those where what's the phrase, and the minimal viable product's been released. If enough eyeballs, enough hands get used of it and the feature gets used, then great, we'll see features galore get added to it. If we don't see enough, then it doesn't seem to get the love that it needs. But the problem is, when it gets released slightly half-baked, then it won't get the eyeballs, will it? It won't get the use. People don't have confidence.
It's almost useless at the moment.
But
they've done 95% of the work, so it's like
Exactly. Roz is in the chat. Hello, Roz. I like this only if we're going to go to do a part of the client onboarding with the client. I wouldn't let the client lose on this.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree, Roz.
They could put it to everywhere, and Roz agrees with you there, Charlie. And
Thank you, Roz.
Talking with me tomorrow about the desktop experience. I get what they're trying to do, right? Like, I always put my training hat on situations like this, and for you, us lot in here, probably everyone listening to this podcast, no one's going to need this functionality, right? This is completely pointless. We're comfortable in putting our transactions into QuickBooks. We've been doing it long enough. We understand it. But when there's someone brand new to the solution, when you've got that person, maybe you've just come from QuickBooks Self-Employed, for example, and moved over to here, the banking area is very complex. It is it is more complicated. It probably needs to be moving things from full review to categorize, etc. Even still understand or letting people know that if items are still stuck here, when they see this in green, some people believe that's been added, right? That's a problem that we're trying to figure out. We're trying to train people out of. So I see what they're trying to do in trying to kind of prevent that, or at least hold the hand a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be adding all that much. I suppose what this could end up doing and where this could lead to is the AI side of things, right? If this is training some sort of AI-ness, and that's where that's going to get into, and we're going to get that opportunity for, if 95% of hotel fees go to, or suppliers depot go to purchasers, then that's where it should go, sort of thing, right?
Well, I mean, you don't. If you're buying stuff from suppliers depot, then you don't need AI that the next time it goes to suppliers depot, that's just memory, and it's already got that built in. The AI, I guess, will come into play that if you've booked, if Premier Inn was coded to hotels, when it next sees, Hilton Doubletree or something, it can look up on the internet, what's Hilton Doubletree? Oh, it's a hotel. Well, the other hotel went to hotels, so let's put this one down. That's where AI could come in.
Is it more like, wouldn't it be a safer bet though? Because at the moment, QuickBooks looks at its own file, right? And we've always kind of been told about this machine learning element of it, where surely at some point we've got a network of X amount of thousands of users and thousands of files. Yeah. Shouldn't we be looking at the pool of results that X amount of times Hilton goes to here? And there's always going to be exceptions, right? But at least if there's a recommended, the recommended could be used.
I would agree with that.
I'm just sat there thinking through that, right? If I was a tradesperson, okay?
Yep.
And I'm sat looking through my I'm going through this animated process. What was this invoice for? It's like, oh, that screw fix, that was for repairs in the office. And all of a sudden, without realizing it, what I've just told QuickBooks is screw fix is repairs for my office. Whereas actually in the current setup, I have to do it 3 times, and then it will say, right, you've done this 3 times. Is this the rule? And you'd have gone, oh, actually, because I've done it 3 times. Once was for my office, twice was purchases. So
I get what you're saying.
There's no context to the question. At the moment, before taking a rule of 3 before suggesting a rule is a more bulletproof way of doing something. People will consider it more.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument to that, is there? I mean, I suppose in fairness, the question did ask, I'm going by memory here, but the question did ask, is it always going to be XYZ? But that green button's so prominent, you're just going to press next each time. Yeah. You're not going to take advantage of that, are you? You're just going to fly through it. So, okay. Again, the talk of the town is this is going to save a lot of time. So,
for the business owner, it might cost us all a fortune of time in trying to unpick the mess.
Yeah.
Very true. All right. Okay, cool. So that is the new banking experience. Right. Another update, very small one, this one. We'll see what you cynics have on this update. But if I jump into the VAT area, and I don't need MTD for now, done. And if I go to my report section, come on, got it. And I look down reports, eagle-eyed of you will notice there is a new report being shown here. View transactions by tax code. Ooh. Now, in fairness, this report is already available, because if we were going to go into error check your return, which hopefully everyone's using, then you do have that breakdown there, but it's making that report more easily accessible. What does everyone think to that little?
I'm going to stay cynical here because I've got a real life example to take you through, people. So, never mind my transactions report.
Right.
I have a VAT inspection, okay?
Yeah.
I run a VAT audit report for my client.
Yeah.
When I export that, the client then e-signs it to say, yeah, I'm happy with that. That audit report has the boxes 1 to 9 at the top, so it's nice and obvious.
Yeah.
And then all your transactions going below it, yeah?
Yeah.
HMRC inspector a couple of weeks ago said, can you send me the VAT reports for this period, this period, and this period? Yeah, no problems. I'll get you the VAT audit reports. Went into QuickBooks to run them. Didn't even check them. Just sent them to the HMRC. Were they confused or what? Because even though it shows on the screen boxes 1 to 9, followed by all the transactions, the PDF export doesn't have boxes 1 to 9 at the top. That summary is missing from the report.
But just to clarify here, so because you would have had a copy of your e-signed ones, you weren't sending the e-signed ones over.
No, I wasn't sending the e-signed ones. He wanted
Why not?
ones that had come direct from the software.
Yeah, because my only concern with that would be exception reports, right? If you run a brand new one, capture as exception. But okay, that aside,
no summary at the top or at the bottom. Just box 1, every single transaction in box 1. Box 2, every single transaction. Like, where's the summary gone? Yeah.
On the signed one.
Hang on, when you download the audit report, you can only download an audit report for a current VAT period. I can't download.
Well, that's it. So if I didn't have the audit report in the system, I wouldn't have had the summaries to send to HMRC. If I hadn't taken off that audit report before filing the VAT return, if you go and look at whatever reports you get as a VAT return, so this is the audit report that you've got on the screen now.
Yeah,
that's what I send to my client to get signed off.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, but that VAT 100 report doesn't exist once you've filed the actual return in the report.
Right, but what I don't get is if you have downloaded a VAT audit report, which you say you do because you get the client to sign off.
Yes, I do.
That's what I would send HMRC, and if they ask for anything else,
what if you're an accountant and you've not got downloaded a VAT audit report? What if all you do is send an email to the client saying your VAT bill's this much? Are you happy with that? Yes. Then you file.
I mean, I feel like they need to figure out their.
But you can still let me think.
But if you swapped accountants,
you don't get the exceptions.
Yeah, if you swapped accountants and you know they did the last year and you're taking this one on, you're right. You may not have those.
So this was my problem. This client came to me 2 years ago, and HMRC flagged one of the periods they wanted to look at was 3 years ago. So I didn't have the audit report e-signed. So I just went in to a filed VAT return because it was in QuickBooks, exported it, thinking that's exactly what HMRC need, with no summaries. HMRC came back saying, "Where's the summary?" So what do you mean, where's the summary? I opened it up. It's like, oh yeah, there's box 1, followed by all the transactions and an amount. Like, to give you context, this was a 238-page PDF.
But at least
there was that many transactions.
Did it include the exceptions that had been included in that quarter?
Yeah, but HMRC
so then you have got
make
so
heads or tails of it.
You have got the 9
they
figures.
Couldn't find the one line they were looking for amongst 258 pages of content.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, that if it includes the exceptions, then at least you can. I mean, yes, they may be lazy enough and not understand what to do, but they could scroll down and find it. It's not like it wasn't there and they couldn't reconcile it because the
detail is in there, but it's all we needed was, and if a client was to go back and look at it in QuickBooks, they wouldn't have a summary.
See what Xero does. I've said this many times before. I'm not a massive fan of Xero, though it is a good product. I'm undoubtedly way more QuickBooks than Xero, and don't have Xero clients. But the one thing that I thought Xero did very, very well was its VAT report. And in one of the things that Xero does is when you run a report, or certainly it did do the last time I used it, which was quite some years ago. When you run a report, it retains a copy of that report as a runnable report in the software as it stood at the time when you first created it. So there were two things that I would take from that. One, the ability for QuickBooks to store a report as it was in full within the software would be good, like Xero does. But also, I've said this before, I really think that Intuit need to be looking at how Xero produces its VAT report. It's a much, much better design and easier to understand.
I went into Xero after this, and I ran a VAT report of a filed return, and they include a summary at the top.
Yeah.
But
they do it very well.
It seemed mad that you could see a summary on screen, followed by the transactions. But the moment you export it, which if I see something on screen, that's what I expect to be exported. The summary wasn't on the actual export.
Oh, I see. It's when you press export. I'm with you now.
That's when it disappears.
Yeah. So I know.
And when you were running that audit report, were you doing it from the VAT page, or were you doing it from the management reports page?
Doing it from here, from this VAT page. So it shows you what you want to see on the screen, but the moment you hit export, it's not the same content.
So if I click on a submit, I'm looking at what, if I click on a submitted, I can see VAT details. I can't see audit report.
So if you click VAT details, for example.
Yeah.
And then if you export that, it won't have the summary at the top like it does on the screen.
There is no summary on the screen for me on that.
Oh, there was when I looked. But yeah, like it did not make a HMRC investigation easy.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Roz agreed.
They already suspect you're hiding something. If you then send them a report that they don't like.
Yeah, and a report that's not complete, exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't match. Roz agrees with you, competing the zero, which is a VAT detail. Jesse likes the new tax code idea. Ideal PDF of the VAT final report and export everything Excel, final exceptions, 100% plus details learned by error that when something gets flipped in the VAT. Yeah, exactly right. And we do the same. I mean, now that the VAT audit report is finally showing exceptions, then we're more than happy with it. But yeah, when it wasn't showing that, we were in a bit of a pickle, weren't we? So
yeah, that VAT audit report, being able to pull that off, I think the only thing I'd love them to do is on that front page, for me to be able to put my logo.
Yes, you can on most though, can't you? So
you can on most reports. I don't think you can on this one.
Let's have a look. This is where we need Roz here. Roz would have told you.
I know Andy Wainwright from Wainwright's and Client Engager wants to be able to export that VAT audit report with his logo on as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think you can then. You used to definitely be able to. But yeah, that is that's a shame. Unless it's because I'm in the sample company, maybe. But definitely on management accounts, you could show.
Do you want to have to go into a separate reporting area when you're on the VAT screen? You should be. If I just want to pull off that audit report from the VAT screen with my logo on, it should be something in the settings.
Yeah, true. But this report here should be the one that's drawn. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Believe it or not, you've actually caught me in a good mood today.
Yeah. Well, let's hope this next update goes better for you. The next update you can't have anything to complain about. This one is about giving VAT estimates on items going on returns going forward. I'm hoping it appears. Oh, it's not appearing here. Let's see if I can get this photo up. And it's really difficult to see, but there's a photo there of that one going through, and it's giving an estimate of going there. The estimate of your VAT refund will be blah 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 blah. So that's not a bad little update, right? I mean, I thought when we were told about estimates, and maybe I heard this one, but I thought that they were going to bring it into the cash flow forecasting tool because that's where we need it, right? That's where we need the VAT element to be. But by the sounds of it, the first part is they're just going to give you a VAT estimate or a VAT refund, VAT element, and that will it just gives you a quarterly forecast going forward. So, what do you think to that update around here somewhere?
Don't we have a live figure in theory? If we're keeping our banking up to date on a daily, weekly basis,
yes.
Don't we have a live VAT liability for?
Well, the idea is it's to look forward as well. It's using cash flow forecasting to look forward and say, based on current projections, then your estimate will be blah blah blah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The problem is for smaller companies who are more likely to to have much more fluctuating income and so on. It's the potential is there for them to be completely confused. Oh, my tax bill next time is only going to be about 1,500 quid. Oh, that's great. And then suddenly at the end of the quarter, they hand it over to the accountant to do, and it's $5,000, and they're screwed. Yeah. And the bigger company, if you've got 10,000 to 100,000 customers, unless you're a seasonal business, if you're a non-seasonal business and you've got 100,000 customers, you're much more likely to have roughly comparable periods. I mean, it may increase or decrease generally, but broadly it'll be in line. But if you're a bigger company, you're going to have full-time accounts departments or accountants who are paying much more attention on an ongoing basis anyway. So the people for whom this might be useful are less likely to be the businesses for which this is likely to be accurate, would be my opinion on that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd want it to be overly cautious rather than optimistic, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, because I remember talking to a few people at QuickBooks about this idea a few months ago, and literally as we were talking about it, my phone received a message from a client saying, "What the hell's happened to my tax return?" Now he normally has like a $2,500 tax return each quarter. Well, he got a $10,500 one that quarter because he just landed a huge amount of work for a large TV production company. And it's like, well, you've had all this. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But if you were estimating someone's VAT return and they think, yeah, it's about $2,500, and then it jumps up to that, because you can't estimate and predict that at all. No software can.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it has the ability to potentially cause issues for us if it's overly confident, shall we say, or if it's like if you get halfway through a tax, if you get a third of the way into your VAT return period, right, and your VAT, it can look at it and go, oh, that's about 50% higher than it was a third of the way through the last few VAT returns. We'll predict it's going to be 50% higher than normal. Then great. That sounds like it's a learning technology. If it's just going, well, your last 3 quarters have been $2,500, so this one must be $2,500.
Yeah.
Then it's no use to us.
No.
It needs to be more factual than that.
But
yeah, let's see what happens.
Cash flow forecasting tool could be really useful, right? If it was there.
Yes.
I know it's not. It's not. It hasn't got those features. It doesn't seem to want to have that amount of features.
I found a hole in the cash flow forecasting tool the other day.
Okay.
So my client has a substantial overdraft facility, which they live in, and that's fine. That's just how their business works. And but QuickBooks, you can't set the ceiling. So
of course, yes.
He can't tell if he's better or worse at the moment on a month-by-month basis for cash flow, because he can't say, right, I've got an overdraft facility of $25,000. That's when I want you to go into the red. If I go past $25,000 minus.
Yeah.
Could you create a dummy bank account? Could you create a dummy bank account though that you never use, but it's just, let's say he's got $100,000 overdraft, stick $100,000 in there.
From what I can tell, the cash flow tool doesn't look at bank accounts that are not live feeds.
No, it's live.
Because I tried that.
That's a bit silly, isn't it? Yeah.
So yes, he can't. His ceiling, his breaking point is minus £25,000.
Yeah.
Not zero. So he spends his life in the red. So he's actually stopped looking at it because he finds it too demoralizing.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So there you go, QuickBooks. We'd like the ability to set where the line is.
Yeah.
But they have this threshold button, don't they? And you'd have thought that threshold button would be.
That's what the client thought. Then rang me and said, "Doesn't this do this?" It's like, yep, no. Again, the hard bits are there. Join the dots.
Positive number only for the threshold. Okay, fair enough. Right. Okay, fair enough. Right. So there is a new VAT estimator tool. So
proof's in the pudding on that one. I think it could be very useful. Again, it would be nice, as you say, to link it to the cash flow planner. But yeah, proof's in the pudding as to how accurate it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Not something you can be inaccurate about.
Quick update on other features, just so we can get on to our main topic, because we're fastly running out of time. So quickly on this one, QuickBooks got a shout out in WWDC. So anyone who doesn't know, WWDC is Apple's event that's going to showcase all of the new stuff, and QuickBooks got a shout out. So we're not 100% sure who they paid to get this, but yeah, into it. Although the old logo
I was just going to say, isn't that the old logo? Oof. If I've paid Apple, I'd want the new logo.
But it was good to see QuickBooks going to mention, and it does make me think, because they were talking about their old VR unit, weren't they? And that's one of the things they were talking about, and how that works. We could expect their new VR solution to have QuickBooks compatibility from day one, and if it's anything like the one that I've got just there, you can file your accounts through it, because that's what I did the other day. I filed a set of accounts in VR. So yeah, I feel like that's a nice little update for that one. Okay, so we don't know much about this. I think this is just us explaining, or just doing a bit of a public service announcement. But as of the recording of this and going live about an hour ago, Intuit QuickBooks announced a investment in Finch, Finch, and it looks like it's a USA-based payroll solution. So that could be exciting for the US market, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't think it'll ever affect us. I think we've got our partnerships aligned. So yeah, who those partnerships are, who knows? But yeah, I feel like the partnerships are aligned in the UK, so I don't think it'll affect us. But them doing some sort of investment, is that kind of precursor to them looking to buy them out? Who knows? So that could be something to keep an eye on going forward. Finch, Finch, keep an eye on that one. Another big bit of news as well. Sasan was talking about how Gen AI and this Intuit AI is something that they are really pushing for. So this is something we really want to be looking out for and understanding. I can't wait, really. I can't wait to see what they can do with it. We've kind of seen some sort of aspects of it, haven't we? We've seen some sort of kind of things in the past. We had QB, whatever it was called, where you had the little person who was talking to you before. So we've had those sort of elements in there. But a whole AI focus, and them saying definitely they want to be focused on AI, is good to hear. I suppose we just need to wait and see. I imagine, maybe I'm over kind of excited about this, but I imagine this is the sort of thing that if it happens in the US, we could expect it to be relatively quickly over here with all the buzzwords. It's going to be there first, right? And then we should get it at some point.
Yeah. I think AI has so many possibilities and opportunities, especially in a tool like QuickBooks, where it can go online and check what is being queued and try and categorize based off it, right through to helping to write summaries in management accounts. Like, there's so much opportunity there for AI. That QuickBooks needs to crack on, really, and just get some tools released for it.
Yeah, they seem to be expanding their own Intuit generative AI operating system. They're calling it GenOS, which kind of sounds quite interesting, right? It's not just let's plug in ChatGPT and off we go and see what happens. It's let's build something from the ground up, and that's kind of where we want it, right? We want them to push the boundaries and do something a bit different, and hopefully that way that should push everyone that way into it.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it. I think we've said this in the past, that QuickBooks has got such a wealth of financial data to spot patterns and occurrences and trends in, not just in the UK but worldwide. I don't think there's probably, apart from maybe Sage, I don't think anyone, well, no, because Sage isn't all online. So I don't think there's anyone in the world with more financial data in the cloud that it could be reading and analyzing than QuickBooks. So they've got a huge opportunity here. My only concern is that they plan to build it themselves. And that
you're concerned about that, are you?
Well, it takes time and expertise. If someone like Xero comes along and plugs into ChatGPT or the numeric version of what is a literacy tool at the moment, they could deliver it overnight. Like, there's a reason Microsoft has partnered with ChatGPT and invested in ChatGPT.
Yeah, but Google didn't, right? Google decided to build their own Bard.
Yeah.
They're a lot bigger than Intuit, though. And they're already in the world of.
It's a matter of
they're already in the world of capturing massive amounts of data and owning that capture.
This is true. Yeah. They probably have more data than anyone.
But
yeah,
I don't know if I mentioned this last time or not, but my favorite tool for QuickBooks, Write Tool, which is the Chrome extension, which I've mentioned before. Anybody watching these videos before would have seen it. If you haven't come across it, then just search Write Tool, RIGHT Tool, QuickBooks, you'll find it. And it's a little extension that goes in Chrome and adds a load of features to QuickBooks. But they, about a month or so ago, added a ChatGPT button to the bottom of any report you run in QuickBooks. You just click that button and it pops up. I'm just doing it now. It pops up with a question. It default is in 3,900 characters or less. Perform the following type of analysis. And the default text is, assume I'm an expert accountant and already know what the accounts mean. Are there any strange numbers I should look at closer? But you can change that text. That's editable text. You can say whatever you like in there. You click Ask ChatGPT, and 2 or 3 seconds later, it pops back with ChatGPT's response, in the tool that QuickBooks already has, which is the ability to add notes to a report, and just fills that in for you. Now, anybody using this, I would strongly recommend they review what's written in there before just sending it out to a client, because ChatGPT is certainly not an expert at numbers, but it does give you a very, very good basic sort of starting point to look at as to the kind of things you might want to include in there. So I would say it's very, very powerful.
So that just proves my point, Charlie, of if competitors or app providers and partners just want to plug into an existing AI, then how long can it be between all of their partners doing it and QuickBooks actually announcing it themselves?
I agree completely.
Live and working before they've actually damaged their business model by doing it.
Yeah. I suppose the argument to that, though, is if we've already seen the starting of it, 3 years ago now? 4 years ago, was it? Can you remember that QB assistant that used to pop up?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
That is my dream scenario. That is how the accounting business should run. That they can just jump into QuickBooks on their phone or in the app, have a video call with me or my team, reviewing the figures. And to a certain degree, with outside technology, we can do all of that.
Yeah.
And it works really nicely. Layer on top of that AI and stuff like that, then I think that is my dream solution. And that is that video. I saw that in 2018, March 2018 at QuickBooks Connect that year, and that has been my vision for my accounting firm ever since. Are
you talking about the one where somebody comes out of a meeting and says, "Hey QB," and QB says, "Hey, you're going to run out of stock on this date, but we can order from this supplier on that date." Yeah. So that requires the AI going out to the internet and looking stuff up on the internet, which of course it's capable of doing now.
Yeah, we need to find that video though, because it was once we got to see it and we never saw it again. So someone must have it somewhere. Yeah. Really quickly though, because we are vastly running out of time. Ross has mentioned we have just spent so much time with tech-savvy clients googling lots of influencer apps and tools to understand what they do. That knowledge out there somewhere, and an info button from either informs or populates an memo field on the bank field would be so useful. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what we were kind of talking about, right? About the idea that we've got pool of data, let's use it. Someone's already done that Googling before you, right? Someone's already figured that out, and
someone's already answered the question.
Exactly. So we want to be leveraging that data, don't we, as much as possible. Exactly right there, Roz. Real quick then to finish off the show, QuickBooks Practice Management. Well, let's start from the very beginning. QuickBooks Get Connected was in Birmingham yesterday. I was lucky enough to share the stage with myself, Cole Reader, HMRC, Simon as well, wasn't it? Yeah. Johann's temperature is too high, so he's cooling down at this point in time. But yeah, QuickBooks Get Connected was in Birmingham, so it was a nice little event, and we did get a bit of an insight into what to expect from the QuickBooks Practice Management tool. And I think you, Charlie's going to be able to tell more than this because you've used Pixie before, right? So a solution.
I've had a play with it. Yeah, I have had a play with it. It's nice, very nice. Yeah.
I took these photos from actually literally from the thing as well. So not great quality, but this is what it looks like. So this is what was shown on the floor. So we can show this and talk about this. So here's kind of the kind of breakdown of it. Is what it looks like. There's your client list there. I've got another couple of photos here. This is how you import it. So you're going to be able to import the data in, either use QuickBooks data or use the company's house data to be able to bring that data in nicely. We've already seen that one, haven't we? And then this is what the custom field groups look like. Does that look similar to what you're used to? Is that kind of similar sort of aesthetic?
I think so. Yeah, it looks like it from what I can tell.
Just a bit more green by looks of it, isn't it? That's kind of going through. Was that one? And then that's like an add client page. Looks like that sort of thing. So
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's all coming together quite nicely. The fact that they've kind of got to this stage gives you confidence, doesn't it, that we can't be too far away. They did mention they wanted a release by August or summer 2023, and they did clarify that's kind of August, September time they're looking for. So yeah, it's coming together. I do kind of, from what we've seen so far, I think we're going to get a very much the first like solution that's going to go out there is going to be very much focused on kind of the bare bones of what a practice management should be there and what's going to be used. All of that exciting stuff that I'm definitely excited about, looking at analysis of data and stuff like that. That's going to be something that's later down the line, unfortunately, I think. So yeah, one to keep an eye on. But yeah, thoughts of it. It looks clean, looks tidy. I suppose we just need to see what those extra bits can do before we get too excited, right?
Well, you say bare bones. I mean, I would hope it's going to have everything that Pixie currently has. It would.
I mean, remember, it's not Pixie. We're just assuming at this point that it's.
I'm assuming it's Pixie.
Might have a connection.
Maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe it's Client Engagement. It's not a great tool.
But I've got a sneaking suspicion that it will be very, very. It's going to be competent, right? It's going to have a competent solution to be able to look at tasks and manage tasks and everything else. But what's exciting me, and I think I'm sure you guys are the same, is what it can do with that QuickBooks data. Like having that holistic view, being able to see all your clients, look at the health of them, all that data we already have there. We've said it loads of times, and having one solution that can extract that and look at it holistically, I'm all game for that. I'm excited for that, but I feel like that's a long way down the line from what I can tell.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I've wanted from QuickBooks for a long time, and they sort of attempted to do it, was a sort of a single screen where you could see some KPIs from all your clients. So on the when you log into QuickBooks and you see your client list, it tells you some stuff like how many unreconciled transactions there are, and little bits and pieces like that.
But
what this integration will be able to do, I would hope, in the practice management side of it, would be to give you reports at practice level of, exactly which clients, have got a number of unreconciled transactions, but also, you've set some KPIs for those clients. Are there debtors too outstanding? Are they going to run out of cash? If you've got the cash flow bit turned on, is there a cash flow problem coming? All that kind of stuff to be able to see at practice level, which enables the practice owner, or in a bigger practice, the client managers, to be able to review that and at a glance go, oh, I better ring client X because I can see they've got some problems.
Or better yet, let AI tell us that there's a problem. Like, it looks like.
Certainly that will come down the line, undoubtedly.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, like the big excitement is, I built my bookkeeping side of things based on not just your traditional dates and everything else, but on the health of a client. I'm really interested in the health of a client and what we should prioritize and how much resources do we need to be able to keep that client to maintain it being healthy. And I feel like at the moment it's very difficult to get that. We have to kind of, the data's there, but we're having to manually extract the data to be able to put it in, and et cetera. And in the end, I had to build my own solution for that extracts the data and be able to put it there. I really do see that this is that next step. This is where they can leverage that on, and that's what I'm excited for. So we'll see. And what about you, Johann? What do you see so far? Yeah, impressed, not impressed? What's your opinion?
You know, and technically it's another competitor for us. We're not overly worried, to put it that way. Practice management thrives off a responsive development team,
Yes.
rolling out developments quickly.
Yeah.
They're not worrying me at QuickBooks at the moment, put it that way. You know, in the next year, where QuickBooks are probably going to get to in about a year's time, compared to where all the other practice management tools will be in a year's time, implementing AI and all that good stuff, I think they're always going to be behind because they've taken this on too late in the journey. But there is huge value in those KPIs, the bank connections that have dropped, etc. And we would love them to have those on a API, so we could build out that reporting function in our own practice management tool.
Yeah.
So if you get that insight by using this practice management tool, then fantastic. I mean, they still haven't disclosed what they're charging for this or if it's free. I don't know. Aaron's got his non-disclosure look on. But I'm going to go on the assumption this isn't going to be free of charge with what they're trying to do. So yeah, it needs to have all the current functionality of all the other practice management tools and that reporting insight. If they're just going to focus on that reporting insight, then it needs to be free of charge. Because they can't. Yeah. Overall, it's interesting to see what direction they're going in. I'm always happy to watch what others are doing and learn from it and go yes or no, whether we like it or not. So another player on the market generating ideas is never a bad thing.
Yeah. And from what we saw of it, again, we can only go by what was shown on the demo. But there are integrations there. There was Zapier, which is a swear word for you, I know, but the Zapier was there, and Zalma was there as well. So that there's hope then for integrations going forward, because why stop there? Like there's got to be other ones that go through. And Charlie, you don't know, do you? If we assume something like Pixie is very similar, did they have integrations? Can you remember integrations back then? Is there?
Oh yeah, they have loads of integrations. Yeah, no, they do have loads.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I say loads. I mean, they do. I mean, if I have a quick look, but they do have a fair number of integrations.
Just wondering then why there was only 2 on the integration page. In fairness, though, this was a demo, right? So they could have been deciding what's shown and what isn't. So who knows? There could be more that's just a click away, for example. But
yeah, I'm just having a look at what.
Oh, Kirsty's mentioned that she saw an email indicating around £40.
Oh, okay.
We can't accept or deny that claim, but yes, thank you.
And is that £40 a user or a firm?
Oh, that'll be per firm.
Actually, I'm allowed to say this because this was part of the They are going for a amount of clients approach as opposed to user approach.
That sounds inspired.
They'd have to because
that's how Pixie built.
That's how Pixie's built, if indeed that's what they're using. But also the way that QuickBooks works is, you add on your users, you pay by clients to change the pricing model for its practice management tool. I mean, as an accountant, you can add as many members of your team in as you like. There's no extra charge for that. So it would be strange to alter that.
Yeah, makes sense. So integration-wise, in the solution you're looking at, there is more than just those 2 then, is it, Charlie? Is that right?
Yeah, I can't see it. I'm having a look, but yes.
Okay, no worries. Now, it was just interesting that on the slides on the presentation, it was just those 2. But that's a good thing, right? If there was no integrations, I think we'd be more worried, wouldn't we? But the fact there is integrations there, there's options for others to get hold of that wonderful data. Wonderful. All right then. Okay. That is it for today. Thank you very much, chaps, for coming along to this little podcast of ours. Hopefully, we've been able to inform people of all of the updates to QuickBooks. I was expecting more positivity around some of these updates, but no, don't worry. We want to give you the real deal. So, yeah, either we've got these 2 on a grumpy day, or it's this is the real reaction that's come through. So that's all good. Don't forget to, if you are listening to this back at any date, then any time, then we do go live 8:30. At 8:30, that's a different podcast that we do. We go live 4:30 on a Wednesday, or try and get 4:30 on the Wednesday. Best thing to do, look at our social channels, and we'll let you know when we go live. And then you can join in the chat like Kirsty and Roz and other people have throughout today. And that is it. That's the end of today's session. So, Charlie, do you want to go first? Do you want to plug anything that you've got to plug for the next month or so, or anything to go forward? I assume you'll be show. People can see you there.
So I missed that. Sorry. You assume
digital accounting?
Yes. Show. Yeah, I'll be at the digital accountancy show next Thursday? I think it is. Is it in Battersea this year, rather than, thankfully, no longer at
and where do you believe this show is going to be, Charlie? Whereabouts in Battersea?
Where?
Yeah. Just before you look,
without looking into it, your understanding is the show is where?
Is it not in Battersea?
Whereabouts? So iconic place that it could be.
Is it? I'm not. It's somewhere near the power station, I believe.
Oh,
is it not?
Yeah,
or is it? Or is it somewhere? Or is it near Chelsea Football Ground? I'm not quite sure. I'm a bit confused because Chelsea Football Ground's not in Battersea, so I'm a bit confused.
No, it's definitely not Chelsea Football Ground. It looks like with all the promotion that it was in Battersea Power Station. We've got really excited for, but it's in Battersea Park Hall. Near to Battersea.
That's it. Oh, okay, fine.
Yes. Anything else you want to plug before we go?
Well, just a reminder that if you are a QuickBooks Pro advisor, do come find me, my group, on Facebook. Just look for QBOA user group, and if you apply to join, do say that you are a pro advisor. Otherwise, we won't let you join the group.
Do they have to be recertified? Do they have to have current certification?
You don't have to have current certification. No, we don't. We're not quite that strict. But the point is, we don't
say the word, and I will get you a list of who's recertified.
Yeah.
Johann, do you want to promote anything, push anything before we go?
No, Hugh. Obviously, just ask the accountant on Monday morning, and then Aaron and I are both at Digital Accountancy Show on Thursday next week. And then we are recording all day Friday for Ask the Accountant. We've got cool friends, which I'm really looking forward to. So, yeah,
it's going to be good. And we go live at the show itself, don't we?
We are going live at the show.
We've got some other content planned as well. We'll just tease it there.
Yeah.
And then some of us are talking more than once during the show, but that's a sort of bet that we will move on sweetly through. Thank you very much for watching today or listening, whichever you've chosen. We are QuickBooks Labs, and we will be great to see you again very, very soon in a month or so time. So I'll roll the outro even, and we will see you next month. Bye for now. Bye.
As an accountant, I've got something to say. I'd like to introduce you to a whole new way to help small business clients. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. QuickBooks Online. Accounting you can customize. Just sit back and relax. It works with over 300 apps. It can sync up with
Client Engager, NetTracker,
and with
Gold Cardless, get paid easily. Cresco,
you'll get paid instantly.
Smooth,
Labs tracks your
funding options.
QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online. Can save money and time.
QuickBooks Labs.